The 5 psalms that were written by David here are about his desire for inner peace. The psalms are deep and is a reflection of the thought that God was something with no beginning and no end. So, welcome to Leah's Bible Babble Psalms. I found this psalm interesting just because of how it is written, in a third person perspective. David turns to the Lord and talks with him with a terminology like Lord, this king, they and them. It's like he wants to put himself in a brighter spot before God so he can give all the glory to the Lord. My God, why have you forsaken me? I call out desperately, but you are too far away. This part of the psalm is written about in the Gospels of both Mark and Matthew, in the tradition that it talks about Jesus' suffering and what was Jesus said on the cross. As I see it, Jesus was Jewish and a rabbi, which meant he knew his Torah or Old Testament. And in the pain he must have felt on the cross was only one thing that got in his mind was this line. I can relate to this and to Jesus because if I was him, I would probably have said something similar. The rest of the psalm is a description of everything that is done for God. In line 11, we find, "From the moment of my birth is my life in your hand. Ever since I was made, you have been my God." In line 26a, you are the source of my praise. Make me think of the gospel song, Total Praise. There's a link down below if you want to listen to that. This is one of the most famous parts of the whole Old Testament. The Lord is my shepherd, nothing will harm me. And that makes me think, what is a shepherd? Well, a shepherd tends to his flock, makes sure his animal are cared for, etc. But one thing that a shepherd doesn't do, and that is to lead. We Christians tend to have a God or Jesus as the leader and take their back on it. But here you will find a shepherd in the back of the flock, herding the animals towards the paddock. And why is that? Because a shepherd doesn't need to lead to make sure the herd is safe. In line 5, you will have, "You set a table before me towards my enemies. You anoint my head with oil and fill my cup until it overflows." Here is a God that is portrayed as a generous host, that the enemies now have to witness his power of protection for those that seek him. And the oil was only a way to greet the guest of honor. The Psalms end with line 60, "As long as I live." But in the Hebrew language, it was more of a wish of a long life and good health, live long and prosper. What caught my eyes here was line 2. "It is him that has laid its foundation in the sea and grounded it with the overflowing waters." At this time, the common knowledge of how the earth was created was based on the fact that God had attached the earth disk on pillars and lowered it into the haddock, which is the name of the ancient sea. This makes me think of the fantasy author Terry Pratchett and his disc world that contained the disc of the world that rested on 4 elephants that stood upon a world turtle. He took the inspiration from the Hinduism, and we all know that Hindus and Hebrews talk to each other thanks to trade. Here we have a more heartfelt prayer of help. Lord, I give all my hope to you. Don't let me down. It is a sincere and deep prayer where David asks God to let all things aside of what he has done in the past and just give him aid when he needed it. He ends the psalm with line 20a, save my life. We have all been there, in that moment of life when a plea had become a prayer. Give me strength. Something raw and pure happens within you when those words are spoken. And I believe that when you utter words that you truly mean is when God listens. Well, this was the emotional roller coaster of the day. Links in the description as always. Feel free to browse around. There are playlists of Bible studies, pilgrimage, history, Old Testament, holidays, you name it. And more will come. And don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment of your thoughts. And remember, if you can't be anything, at least be kind. Love and light to you all, and I see you in the next episode. Bye.